How's it going, guys? I'm here to review the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, 1986. It's a damn good sequel.
Time for incoming mail!
This film takes place 13 to 14 years after the original film, and it kicks, and dude, this movie starts with a badass opening. So two wild punks are driving on the road, they're going to a football game, and then they decided to call and harass a DJ named Stretch, who is the main character, which is played by Caroline Williams. They pass another pickup truck, but as they're passing the vehicle, out of nowhere, Leatherface comes with his chainsaw blazing, ripping through their truck's roof. And while both of them are driving on this bridge with a badass music or soundtrack in the background, Oingo Boingo, No One Lives Forever, a great song, by the way. So after that badass opening sequence, the movie then introduces you to another new character named Lefty, who is a former Texas Ranger and the uncle of Sally and Franklin Hardesty. So in other words, he is the uncle of the victims, or at least one of the survivors from the last movie. Pretty much for the last 13 years across Texas, he's investigating all the chainsaw murders, all the chainsaw grizzly crimes. Pretty much he investigated this whole thing and he's obsessed with it and he wants vengeance. So after that, Stretch decides to help Lefty by showing him the tape of what happened to the two punks, hearing the audio of them getting slaughtered. Lefty tells her to stay out of this, but of course Lefty changes his mind. He's like, you know what, I need your help, you gotta play the tape. And Stretch is like, alright, I'm cool with that. But as of course, when Stretch does play the tape, eventually later that night in her DJ booth, she then gets she gets then attacked by Leatherface and his cousin Chop Top, which is played by Bill Moseley. Dog will hunt.
Dog will hunt! Get that bitch, Leatherface! Get that bitch! Dog will hunt!
You guys don't know who Bill Moseley. He plays another pretty much another iconic characters. He played Johnny from Night of the Living Dead remake, the 90s remake, which is directed by Tom Savini. He also played, of course, Otis from House of Thousand Corpses and The Devil's Rejects. He played all these great horror iconic roles, pretty much. And Chop Top is one crazy motherfucker. He is one Sawyer family member that you'll never forget from these movies, at least one of them.
Music is my life.
And Drayton Sawyer from the first movie, or The Cook, he's back, which is really awesome. But, you know, this is where things get a little weird from here. Leatherface then gets attracted to Stretch. He kind of falls in love with her sexually towards Stretch. Basically, he doesn't kill her because he uses his chainsaw as, you know, air humps her, dry hump her with his chainsaw. She's weirded out, and then Leatherface kind of like flips out, goes berserk. He doesn't kill her, he just chainsaws her whole set, just everywhere in the whole room, and he just like humps the air even more with his chainsaw and just leaves. So he has like a sexual attraction towards Stretch, which is kind of weird, but it is what it is. Anyways, she then gets captured eventually. She follows them, which that's the dumbest move ever. When they, because as soon as they left, she follows them. And then she falls into their hideout, and then of course she's trapped, and now she's trapped with them, and she can't escape. Of course, Lefty shows up. He sees her like tied up to the infamous kitchen family table where they're serving the barbecue, the meat, and she's about to get killed. Lefty sees that, gets enraged, gets two of his badass chainsaws, kills everyone. Like he's trying to kill the whole family. And as she escapes, Chop Top tries to chase after her. While that's happening, Leatherface and Lefty's having a badass chainsaw fight, and that's all I can say. This ending is so badass. Like you can tell, you can tell this was supposed to be the final movie in this franchise. Only 2 movies, 2 stories. That's it. And this is directed by Tobe Hooper, yet again from the last movie. So anyways, what did I think about this movie? I actually love this movie. I enjoyed the sequel. This is actually one of the most refreshing sequels, in my opinion. So I love the mix of horror and comedy in this film. Many people may not like it, but to me, I like it because sometimes I like black comedy or dark humor. It's just right up my alley, so I do enjoy the mix of comedy and horror in this film. The special effects in this movie is awesome. It's spectacular. It's gory as fuck. It's more gorier than the first one, to believe it or not. Because the movie, or the first one, it didn't rely too much on the gore. Like, it didn't show that much. Like, if it makes sense. Like, when Leatherface kills people in the first movie, it actually didn't show anything. It was all in your imagination. Well, this one straight up shows the pure beauty of the gore, which is done by Tom Savini. Tom Savini, like I said in my other reviews, he did numerous special effects for other movies, like Friday the 13th, Creepshow, you name it. The soundtrack kicks ass. I love the 80s aesthetic soundtrack in this film. It's awesome. I love the new characters. And yeah, I enjoyed this one too because this movie is actually different because it's not like any other sequels where they're rehashing the original film, putting a bunch of group of kids or a bunch of teenagers just like traveling in Texas, going on a journey, and then they get lost in the middle of the way and picking up a weird hitchhiker, meeting a weird family, cannibalistic family, and then they venture to the house, and that's when they get killed by pretty much it's the same shit with the sequels from after this, from here on out. It's kind of ridiculous. Like, I feel like every sequel is basically a remake of the original one. It's like a rehash. This one just feels genuinely different, a different setting, different characters, a different direction. And even though it continues after the first movie, it doesn't like repeat, or it doesn't repeat the first movie's formula. It doesn't use a bunch of kids, which I appreciate. It's like new characters and new goals, new direction. They have new motivations. It's just everything is just feels completely refreshing in this movie. The other sequels just feel the same, man. They just feel like they just copy and pasted the original one, while this one was doing its own thing. So I enjoyed the hell out of this sequel. I would rate this movie an 8 out of 10. So that was my quick review of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, 1986. Please leave a like and subscribe and leave a comment. And I'll see you guys in the next one.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. The Buzz is back. Directed by Tobe Hooper.